Start the morning right with a cup of Vinyl Tap. Nothing beats the refreshing taste of a hot, warm mug of Vinyl Tap. Enjoy your podcast in liquid form today. Vinyl Tap. Enjoy responsibly.
2, 1.
Vinyl Tap.
I'm Habibi.
I'm Jason.
And this month on Vinyl Tap, we listened to artists that we hate.
That's right.
Hooray!
We each brought an album from an artist that we personally despise.
Well, that was actually not the criteria. It was just artists that we hate. And my hot take on it is that, because I actually don't despise Nickelback, but a lot of people really fucking hate Nickelback.
So is your interpretation using a collective we instead of,
It sure is.
the people relevant?
Yes,
You're
exactly.
using the societal we?
I pulled society for my definition of we so that I could pick Nickelback.
Where's your survey?
It'd
Where's
be
your
so
data?
much easier for you to just say that you hate Nickelback. Why would you do this to yourself?
Because I don't hate Nickelback, and I really wanted to talk about
why?
Well, because Nickelback are a
They
band
are awful.
No, but they're not. See, this is the thing.
They've also
Nickelback,
been memed on a fair bit.
Yeah, they have.
yeah, they're
Not that
the
bad.
band that is popular to hate. Like, it's a big meme to hate Nickelback and whatever. But actually, like, some of their songs, like, it's kind of generic and cheesy, but it's not terrible music. They're not committing sins. And, okay.
We had
I'm
a
gonna
good time,
rephrase.
didn't we? We had a really good time
they're-
listening to Nickelback.
Yeah.
Can I just say they're not Captain Beefheart, which was actually high on my list of things to choose again.
I'm so glad you didn't.
I think it was too soon to bring him back. He'll make an appearance again at some point.
Great.
Woo! Wait, does he
Hooray.
have 2 albums?
No, he has
He's
more.
got
He's got
multiple.
shit tons.
Also-
he's a Zappa type,
also-
man.
Fucking hell.
I could have brought the
Fuck.
same album again if I really wanted to.
Is that it? Could you? I think I would have banned you.
We'll get into that in our staff meeting after this. But and I brought Justin Bieber because that's also kind of a societal thing. There was a big period there where we all hated Justin Bieber, and then he came back, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's so cool now with the trap beats," and a lot of people are still pretty cold on him, including myself. I think he personally, I think, is a really capable musician, probably a decent songwriter. I really do not care for his albums. There we go. That's my case on Justin Bieber.
Have you
Right.
heard his most recent album?
I said that
Keep
I
harping
would,
on
but
about
I have
this.
not.
Because
I have
am
been
gonna
so
Big
fucking
life
busy.
events have been happening.
I am gonna reiterate that I think his latest album is much better. It is a clear, concise musical idea that he does well.
Do you think I will
And-
like it?
What?
I don't
Knowing
know.
me,
It would
will
be
I
first
like
place.
it? Okay, that'll be fun.
Why did you listen to this? I can't have picked you as the person to listen to Justin Bieber.
Partly because of a friend recommendation, and also because I don't know. I've been enjoying listening to pop artists and their kind of what's current, I suppose. Because I generally hate all of it, but it's nice to know what's going on and what's popular.
Yeah, you have to reaffirm
You
your
don't
beliefs.
have to convince me.
But I genuinely think that the latest Justin Bieber, I don't know, Tim, it's a hard question. You might like some elements. I think if you like his initial idea in the album, I think you'll like the rest of the album. And if you don't, you'll probably hate it.
Okay. I'll let you know. And Jason brought Oasis.
Jason, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to pick someone that wasn't just universally hey, we hate them. But also, I actually don't mind their singles and their music in general, as much as that was not a fun experience as an album. But I really am not a fan of them as people, and that's more how I interpreted artists we hate. They're like actual people, not the music.
We did throw around a few artists who, like, their music we didn't really give a care about, but them as like, you wanted to bring R. Kelly for a little bit there.
Yeah, I considered it, and I still think he would have been a really good example. But then we would have been listening to and supporting him through his music, and
Morally, it's a
whole
lot easier to do that with
other-
Oasis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole other conversation outside of artists we hate that would have taken up the entire, like, this entire episode about should we have done that, should we have not done that. And I feel like
It wouldn't have mattered because
conversation.
in that hypothetical universe, we would have done it. So
Yeah. But like it is an important conversation that we'll have at another point, but it would be kind of not what we would like doing with this month.
yep.
When you guys don't like an artist, does that make you not enjoy the music? Does it, like Tim, you don't like Justin Bieber. Does that color your album experience of Changes?
I don't think it did. Because if you recall our episode about that album, I was really glowing about him, like his performance, his musicianship. And, you know, I don't know the guy personally. In the mid-2010s, he came off as a complete asshole, but he's probably calmed down now. I think he has. I think that's the idea. That's the image now. So, you know, I think I've done a pretty decent job separating art from artists there. But it wasn't that difficult, to be honest. Because, I mean, he's not the biggest piece of shit, and he never has been. He was just like a teenage, rebellious, you know...
someone who's kind of easy to hate because he's never really done anything like really wrong.
Like, screw
kind
him.
of thing.
He made it. But then, I mean, same goes for all of these guys. Like Oasis, the Gallaghers haven't harmed any of us personally. I don't think they've broken any laws. They just come off as utter twats in the media.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it really depends on the severity of what someone's done and how much you dislike them. I don't think the people that we've chosen for this month, any of us actually have like personal, like, I just cannot stand them as a person or as an artist. Because I think when it gets to that level, it probably colors the like things that they create. But I think having like a strong dislike of someone is a much more like, oh yeah, they can still do things that I like.
How do you feel about The Doors? Is it The Doors? Yeah, The Doors, yeah.
In terms of music or in terms of as people? Because I don't know much about them as people.
Yeah, I have no strong opinions.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I like a bunch of their music, but I don't know who they are as people outside of Jim Morrison dying at 27.
That's the one thing to know.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Wasn't Jim Morrison a real bastard? I don't know.
Maybe.
I know some people who don't like The Doors because of the artist, but
half of the entire world stopped listening to Michael Jackson a few years ago.
Right. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
Wild.
that documentary came out. Even though they're from allegations that were from like 20 years before that.
Yeah.
So why didn't you stop listening then? I know that new stuff came out. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, no. That
I don't know. It's a complicated minefield though, right? Because you can't all of a sudden stop liking this music that you like.
Yeah, it's still
and
a jam,
having the
right?
Memories associated with it that you've got associated with it, but you also are well within your rights to dislike the artist who's created it because they've done something terrible. And that's like personally, I think you've got to have a bit of a duality about it and fall within that gray zone of listening to it or not listening to it, or doing the things that are related to that artist that you're comfortable with, because there's no real 100% this is the right way to go about it or this is the wrong way to go about it. And people's lines of what they think are acceptable are going to be different. Like, I steered away from R. Kelly because he is still living, and listening to his music directly supports him, which not really into. Whereas someone like Michael Jackson, I would be more okay listening to because he's not alive and that money is not going and supporting him.
Okay. That's really interesting, because I was going to bring up, like, all the Beatles fans in the world who, you know, had to morally put up with all of that. And then in 2003 or whatever, Phil Spector, their producer on a shit ton of albums, goes and gets convicted for murder. So do those people then, like, have to stop supporting those albums? Do they have to stop listening to the Beatles? And then when Phil Spector died a few years ago, I can't remember, are they then allowed to listen to those albums again? It's like, it's all kind of arbitrary, isn't it? I mean, it's entirely up to you.
Yeah. And that's what I
also
mean. I think
that
it comes down to...
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I think it comes down to, like, your personal view and comfort on the situation, right? Like, it's like going to a shop. I mean, this is probably going to be terrible because I'm coming up with it off the top of my head. But
Great.
if you go to a shop and there's two shops that are the same, but you've got staff that are, like, really nice and one shop has staff that are, like, really bad, if you're going to go to the shop that's got nice staff. But if that shop is closed for whatever reason, you still might occasionally go to the shop with bad staff and, like, put up with it because you're, like, getting something out of it. So there's, like, going to be times where you listen to music or do, like, engage in some art that you wouldn't normally listen to, because there are certain points you still get something out of it.
I think that it would speak true that, like, some people make a conscious decision, well, like, feel music gets a bad taste in their mouth when they know that the artist has done something gross that they don't like.
I've got bad news for those people.
Yeah, but and I think that it's like, you can't be all encompassing. You can't know everything, and you're going to be consuming a lot of stuff produced by terrible people. That's just a part of life. But, like, it's a natural human thing that, like, you find out that somebody kicks puppies in the heads, and you're like, well, fucking hell, like, every time I hear your song, I find out that, like, I think about puppies getting kicked in the head. And
It
it's
was
like,
Kanye, by the way.
it's like, I think that connection happens a lot for a lot of people, or maybe it doesn't, I don't know, but I can see that being something that would come up as, like, I don't like this artist, therefore I don't like their music. Like, it, the example actually that I'm going to use is J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter.
I was thinking about that too, yeah.
Like, for a lot of people, Harry Potter is such an important part of their life, and yet knowing what they do about the author, they just can't love it the same because her actions taint the story overall, because a little part of her belongs in your favorite childhood stories or teenage stories, right? And so I can imagine you reading those books, having context and reading in between the lines, like, it would taint it somewhat.
I have also seen, conversely, like, to that, people claiming that at this point Harry Potter no longer belongs to J.K. Rowling. Like, it belongs to the public and the audience that consume it.
But she still makes
because-
money off of every single sale.
I know. And that's the complicated thing. Because the art itself, sure, it does belong to the people who consume it, but the consumerism and capitalism of it is why it gets murky and difficult for some people.
Tell that to copyright law, right?
Exactly.
I was going to say that there seems to be a statute of limitations on these things, because complete dickbags in the past who've made music lives on in today's culture. Like, Wagner was a huge racist, and yet we still play his music all the time.
Yeah.
Beethoven was this weird incel, and yet he's celebrated as one of the most successful classical composers.
But again, like when you die,
Mozart
right?
was a
Like,
weird cat boy into poop fetishes, and he, like, what are we doing? If that happened today, if Lil Nas X did the things that these guys did, no one would listen to him. So, like, there's an amount of time that removed from the present, people are willing to listen to their music even though they're a piece of shit. I'm not calling
Yeah.
Beethoven a piece of shit.
well, look,
Mozart,
like when
I
you
just think his
die,
music's
a lot of
boring.
things become different, right? Because like, when you're dead, it's easier to separate like the art itself can begin to be interpreted in any way that you want. So a lot of Beethoven's music can be, you know, like heroic or like whatever. It can be your own inspirational song. And the artist can then be looked back on as like a historical lesson of, hey, don't be like
Don't
this.
be a weird incel.
Yeah. So kind of what I'm getting
thing
at
there
is
that
like,
death is not the statute of limitations, because we were just talking about Michael Jackson and Phil Spector, who
yeah,
are
but
both dead.
I think that Michael Jackson, it's easier for me to justify listening and enjoying his music because I can separate.
Personal take though.
Because I'm not directly supporting Michael Jackson anymore, so I'm not directly supporting those actions. So I can begin to make it my
There's-
own music.
Well, I wasn't asking
there are
about
still
your
gonna be
actions. I was
people-
asking about society's actions.
I was going to say there is still going to be a large, vast majority, not a majority, but a, like, I mean, it could be a majority, but a large selection of people who, given what they know about Michael Jackson, are just like, how can anyone listen to him? How can you, like, you know, enjoy that knowing the context?
Yeah, I suppose so. But then as time goes on, like, I think it's easier to be like, well, you know, how can you, like, the further removed from the time that that person was alive and talking and telling their own story, the more external stories get applied, right? So, like,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's music will, I don't know, I think the art can begin to separate because you can go, hey, look, here's a terrible person who made great music, and look, you can learn a story here that you can still do cool, funky stuff, but like, holy shit, don't do this terrible, because like, look where it got him, you know? Like, a lot of people really fucking hate him now, despite the awesome music that he made. Like, I think it's easier to draw those stories where, you know, what I'm essentially saying, we should kill J.K. Rowling so that we can begin to get the process of healing with Harry Potter.
Or at least tax her appropriately.
I'm kidding, by the way. That was such a joke. Do not take that seriously.
What is this episode? Oh my god.
Oh, who won?
So, yeah.
I forgot we were talking about these 3 albums.
We went. Oh man. Basically, Death of the Author is a complicated, murky topic that kind of, sort of doesn't exist, but kind of, sort of does exist.
Yeah.
It very much does exist some of the time.
Yes. Back to the 3 albums we listened to.
I'm going to vote for Nickelback being the best album. I genuinely had the most fun listening to Nickelback.
Now,
Oh my god.
I also had the most fun listening to Nickelback, but I'm not going to forget that we listened to that together as a group. We were shooting the shit. We were making fun of Chad in real time with each other. Whereas the
Okay.
other 2 albums we had to listen to separately. So maybe we would have had just as much fun listening to Oasis but we just didn't have the opportunity. So maybe fuck you, but maybe not fuck you. I don't know yet. Let me think about it while Jason talks.
Oh, shit, I have to talk now. I personally think, given what the theme is, I'm not voting on how much fun we had. I'm voting on what the theme is of artists we hate. And the fact that you two picked people that you don't actually hate, but you like think society generally hates, means
I
I'm
hate
gonna
Justin
vote
Bieber.
for Oasis. Okay, I'm
If
still
I
going
saw
to
him on the
vote for
street, I'd punch
myself.
him in the face.
Just because, yeah, I still think that I can't pick Nickelback because I think they're unfairly done by societally, and Biebs doesn't actually genuinely hate Nickelback. He's just
I thought I was
voting for
So,
them.
I just
because-
thought I
So-
was picking the best album.
So you
Which
think,
was
yeah, that's what
Nickelback.
we've done in the past, Jason. We've picked the best album.
no,
regardless of the theme.
we've decided
But
based on
disqualified
theme
based
or
on the
best
theme.
album. We've done both.
Is there precedent? When?
Oh man, are you putting me on the spot?
I also want to say that and what did you say? Do you hate the Gallaghers personally?
As close as I can come to say I hating someone, sure. I really dislike the way that they've
Really?
just the way that they've gone about it and continued to
You
go
can't
about
think of
it
someone
and-
else that you dislike more than Noel Gallagher.
Oh, probably can, but I of course I can. But in this context, I really just cannot stand how they've kept at it for essentially 30 years
Yeah.
in the public eye, and
I'm actually kind of impressed, to be honest.
like a little bit, but it doesn't mean I don't like still I'm not just like
Yeah, it's awful.
infuriated by it. Like it's so bad, and just like imagining that relationship with my own sibling would just like it's so gutting. Like it just no, like sort your shit out. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and
Guys,
it's not
just-
like fame and power does that to all siblings, because look at the Youngs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they got on fine for like playing
Oh, I
together
thought
in a
you were
band
saying
for
sorry,
decades.
I thought you were about to pull the curtain out and tell me that they had
No,
a bad
no, no, no,
relationship.
no.
You were saying the opposite. Yeah, no, and that's I understand that being in a band and there's tension and personality clash, but whatever. But like, man, at what point? Like, how can you hold on to whatever's going on for this long? Like, what a terrible way to live. So, yeah, I'm still standing by picking Oasis.
Oh, they've put it
fair
down to
enough.
me.
Yeah, come on, Tim.
I think that in the past we've chosen which album we thought was the best, and we disqualify based on the theme. I thought that's what we'd done.
I feel
If
like
we are
I'm pretty sure I've lost
picking on,
because of that. We picked the best album, not the best theme.
if we are voting on best album, I'm still not picking Nickelback.
Fair.
But would I change to Justin Bieber? Let me think about that.
I have to think about that too.
No, I think I still get more enjoyment out of the hits on Oasis songs than I do from any of the Justin Bieber
I
songs that
can't,
were
in all
on that
good
album.
conscience, choose Morning Glory, because every song goes for 150% too long.
See, I can deal with that more than things like Yummy.
I think Yummy is a modern classic that
I agree.
you've missed the
Will
nuance
stand
of.
the test of time.
I think that it has done more for humanity than you ever will.
I mean, I can't dispute that. It might have.
And because it has a country song called Rockstar, I have to choose for all the right reasons.
But you're choosing it for all the wrong reasons.
That's right.
All right. Congratulations, Nickelback. We love you.
You did it. You won the worst month of Vinyl Tap.
Click to find out what else we've listened to this month.
Click below to support the artist we just listened to.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.